Okay guys, here is my face in the raw. It's very red right now, but I went to a soccer game today, so I got a little sunburnt. When they tell you when you start taking Accutane that you should not go in the sun, and when you do, you should wear sunscreen or just not be in it at all. But I took no precaution and now I am a burnt mess. Yeah, my arm is too. But my face is normally pretty red and it's not that much. I suffer from a lot of redness on my face. And I do get cystic acne. If you want to get a close-up of this here. These guys. My face is still purging. I am on day 36, I believe. So this will be my first month. Going back in the past, my acne started when I was 11. Met my best friend, who is still my best friend to this day, in the 6th grade, and she used to call me Pimpleton. How mean is that? But I would get these little pimples like every once in a while when I was 11. Not quite acne yet, but just little pimples. And back in that time, not many people had acne or pimples, so I kind of felt like I stood out. It was embarrassing. But everyone just kept saying it'll go away one day, it'll go away, just be patient. I went to the dermatologist when I was in my sophomore year of high school, I believe, maybe my freshman year. They did the usual antibiotics and topicals, which was great. The first time I ever used it was great. My face cleared up really well. I remember taking it in the morning and then not eating enough and being really sick at school. That was probably the worst part. But then, if you know antibiotics very well, you know that over time they lose their effectiveness. So I think we bumped up the dose and then we'd have an appointment every 6 months or so. Then I just stopped going because it didn't seem like it was working. It was just like a temporary fix for the month or so, and then my acne would come back, and then sometimes it wouldn't. I'd still get these big cystic pimples and it didn't feel like it was helping me much. So after that I decided to do like a more natural thing, I guess. Just use simple face washes and makeup that's made for people with pimples. Well, obviously that did not work either. I thought, oh, you know, I'm a teenager, it's normal, it'll go away soon. And everybody told me, oh, it'll go away, it'll go away. I didn't go to the dermatologist again until I was about 22, 23, around that time, because it was getting really bad, and the lady I was seeing still offered up the same things, antibiotics and stuff, which I understand because I hadn't been on them in a while and they always want to make sure they try that first. So we did that for a long time. Stopped taking effect. I felt like it was useless. She felt like it was useless, honestly. Every time I'd walk in, she'd be like, oh, you poor thing, because it used to be really bad. After the antibiotics weren't doing much, she told me that I should do a light therapy. To be more specific, I think it was blue light therapy. It was honestly a nightmare for me. I looked like Freddy Krueger and it didn't really help. But I will save that for another video because that's a whole story and I'm sure some people are interested in that. Didn't work for me, but it may work for you, so I don't want to dog it too much. So for my acne during Accutane, I have been using my CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser. This stuff is great. It was a random find. I just randomly found it at the drugstore when I went to get a new face wash for when I started Accutane. And then when I did go see my dermatologist, she actually recommended CeraVe. I was like, hey, that's what I bought. To go along with that, I got my CeraVe moisturizing cream. This is really great because my face gets really dry. I know there's a lot of people whose faces flake and sometimes even their scalp, and I've heard that they use Head and Shoulders and that seems to help a lot. But this stuff is so great. I'm like traumatized from the oil on my face. It's so oily. You know those oil blots you can use for your face? Well, I could fill like 3 of those up and it was just non-stop. I could never use those and there wouldn't be oil. There would always be full oil on those things. But I love this lotion or this face cream because it doesn't make my face feel so oily after a while. Like at first, you know, it's the typical creamy feel, but then after 20 minutes or so, it just soaks right into your face and it feels amazing. I haven't had too much problems with dryness. The most dryness I had is my lips, and that's what they warned me about. Get a close up here. Pretty dry. pretty dry. I gotta put lip balm on all the time. Make sure when you're on Accutane, you take lip balm everywhere. Do not forget it. I keep getting cracks in my lips and stuff, but I also, along with red skin, I always have chapped lips, so it's really not that bad. Now, there's a lot of people who experience more depression on Accutane, but that hasn't really affected me at all. My biggest issues have been lately, within, I'd say, the past 2 weeks, I started getting joint pains, which I know is common, but during the whole first month, I didn't experience that, and I thought, oh, I'm lucky, because it seemed like people got that right away. But I didn't have any problems with joint pain or anything like that. But starting a couple of weeks ago, sure enough, my lower back and up into my middle back felt like it needed to pop. And then since then, it's just been really achy and it's hard to walk, kind of. But I'd rather suffer this for just a little bit to get rid of this. Another thing is my feet have been really sore. It feels like I've been on a stair step, like doing foot raises for like an hour, and I thought it was because I got new shoes recently, but I mean, I broke them in, they're fine, whatever. But I mean, I broke them in and they don't seem to be hurting my feet in that specific area. And then I looked it up and other people are experiencing that too. And that made me feel better. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual product. I take Accutane. I take specifically Clarivis, 40 milligrams. Do not get pregnant. They will tell you this many, many, many times. You open it up, this big box, and you will find 3 of these boxes, which come with 10 capsules in each, 3 of 10, so 30 for the month. This guy. And you open up, you got more of this guy. Or woman, I should say. These are ones I've already taken, but they have them on each capsule. And then these little orange guys, no big deal, not so bad. With Accutane, you're required to be on 2 forms of birth control. I am on birth control pills, and I also do the male condom. But realistically, I think I'm remaining more celibate because I don't want to be a statistic with being pregnant on this. So I'm going to show you guys some photos from before I started the Accutane so you can get an idea of what my face looked like before I started and when I started. These aren't the most flattering pictures, but that's not the point here. This is where my face was right before starting the Accutane. I was on spironolactone for a little while, so it's not as bad as it was. Here, I'm very dry. It's probably a couple days after I started. And then my big cystic pimples started to get whiteheads, and I started getting whiteheads all over the place more often. Then they turned really red and got pretty sore, but I figured it'd all be worth it in the end. I know there's a lot of people that experience depression with this. So far, I haven't had any major mood changes. I mean, every time I do, I think, oh, it's the Accutane. Oh, it's the Accutane. Every time anything happens, I'm like, is it the Accutane or is it something else? But usually I just blame it on the Accutane because that seems to be what it is, especially if it's new and unusual. I've seen a lot of videos of people who stop dairy for their acne. I know that's a big thing, and it seems to work for a lot of people. I know there's people who 100% feel that worked for them, and then there's some people who take Accutane and stop dairy at the same time. But I had talked to my dermatologist about that because I do love my dairy, and I have done the whole no milk, no cheese thing, and it didn't really do much for me, so I don't think that was my issue. I think it's hormonal based on where my acne has been. But I talked to my dermatologist about the whole not eating dairy. I asked her if I should not eat dairy, and she said, no, you make sure you get your dairy because it is not going to affect your acne. So I was very happy about that. I mean, giving up cheese is so hard. Probably the hardest thing, and I'm sure most people feel that way. Also, I love my milk and my coffee, and I just cannot do without it. I've tried the others, almond milk, coconut milk, but it just doesn't have that same. So this was my first video, and I hope to update you guys weekly as well as some other fun stuff along the way. Just check the links below if there's anything, and I'll see you guys later.